Welcome back, my friends. Welcome back. Scotty the Trucker coming to you from a rest area about 90 miles into Pennsylvania, I-80. Yeah, I'm on my, second load since Hometime. First load took me from Smithfield, Virginia to Kentucky, and then a little bit of a deadhead north up to Indiana. And from Indiana, I got an ice cream load going to Pottsville, PA. So I'll be delivering tomorrow. Only have, I think, maybe 3 hours to go. So I'll have a little extended break here. Haven't added it up yet, but it's well over 10. So again, I'd rather be rolling a little closer to the schedule, but I'll take the time when it comes. Let's see. Hometime, as the thumbnail says, it's not all fun and games, and I wanted to, I've talked about Hometime many times before, but I'm always kind of highlighting all the fun stuff that we do, and we did still have a bunch of fun this time. But when you're doing this, I think one thing you got to realize, and I'm not going to be sexist here, it's interchangeable spouse-wise. If you're a trucker out here and you're out, month and a half to 2 months at a time, and you have a spouse at home with or without kids, in my opinion, or at least in my case, I would say the spouse at home, in my case Rexella, has it harder. They have all the plates in the air, and they have to keep the household running. Certainly, in your first year and a half of trucking, you have your trials and tribulations, but that gets easier with every day. The home stuff doesn't. That continues the way it always has, and there's one less person to help out around the house. So when you do come home, at least in my case, you have some chores to do, ones that have kind of been neglected. In my case, my family does very well keeping the lawn mowed, but they haven't quite figured out the edging process. I've got the whole interchangeable, my glasses are fogging up, the Ryobi battery, rechargeable battery thing, and I've got a few attachments that I use to really get the edging done well, and it's a little much for them, so that usually goes, they'll cut the grass, but that goes without. So when I come home, that's kind of my project, is I go around the house and do all the edging around. I've got several sidewalks and things like that, and of course around the house, and I've got this brick wall that goes around, and I probably will be showing you some pictures of things as I go along here. And that is a pretty taxing job, and it takes a full day at least, but that's a chore that I do, and of course I help out with dishes and dinners and things like that, just to help out while I'm home. But that's kind of the one job that is still mine that doesn't really get done otherwise. This time, however, I had a few other jobs to add to it. I had noticed for quite some time, I mentioned this brick wall that we've got that kind of runs around our front yard. It's kind of just a decorative feature type thing. Well, it's red brick, but you wouldn't be able to tell it because it was just almost completely black with just dirt and grime and all that. So I actually broke out my, I have this portable power washer that I got for Christmas. I want to say this past Christmas, but I'm thinking it might have been the Christmas before. I've never used it, never really had the chance. So I broke that out and kind of went to town on all the sidewalks and the brick wall, and man, it did an amazing job. This is the kind. Doesn't have the big generator or anything like that. You plug it in on the side of the house and hook it up to the garden hose. It looks like a backpack. You don't put it on your back, but you hold it. And man, I was shocked. It did a really good job. But again, adding some strenuous activity to my plate when I came home. And thirdly, one that was really not anticipated until I guess a couple weeks back. Those of you that haven't been on my channel for a while, I talked early on about our house being kind of one of the leading reasons why I find myself trucking these days. Wonderful house. It's a historical, actually just got its historical marker, and got a little sign in the yard that talks about it, but it used to be an old hotel kind of a privately owned hotel built in 1870. And my little town, it's not really a resort town now, but around the turn of the century, it was actually a pretty big resort town. It's got rivers on 3 sides, a lot of water, and a train that used to come from Richmond into town, kind of bringing the high society folks for the weekend, that kind of thing. Like I said, most of that's gone, but mine was one of 14 hotels in this little town of mine. It's called the O'Connor Hotel. And when I bought it, I was in my 20s. Found a little money in my pocket and thought, yeah, I should put a mortgage out on this house, and it was a great deal. What I've found since then over the years is that if you're a person that is not handy with construction, can do at least the basics, I would strongly suggest not buying a house that's over 120 years old. Much more than that, actually. Not good on the spot math, but yeah, 1870. Yeah, okay, it's more than that. Yeah, because you'll find yourself, what you'll find is that you're going to be constantly falling behind the decay. We did a big remodel several years ago, and it was supposed to be a small remodel, but every time they opened up a wall, opened up a floor, problems, that had to be fixed. And it ended up causing us to do a second mortgage that was just ridiculously over what we intended to spend. And, debt and things like that have piled up over the years, making it a real struggle for my wife and I, she has, and I had a really good salary position. But it just kind of got close to where we needed to be, but not quite. Bills were paid, food was on the table, house was falling apart, and there wasn't much money left for fun. So there we are, bringing you back to speed. We are trying to get the curb appeal up and trying to take on these little jobs one at a time now that I'm making a little more money into trucking. Slow going, you come into trucking with some financial issues. The financial issues don't go away just because you're making more money. It just, you're able to check some off the list maybe a little quicker. So it's a slow process. But yeah, I wanted to get the curb appeal going, so I power washed the sidewalks, power washed the brick wall. Looked amazing. The last thing was one that I wasn't anticipating. It's an item that I know needed to be done, but on my list it was rather low on the priorities. On the town's list, however, it was on the high end of the priorities. We got a notice that we've got this old garage / shed. I think it was built sometime around 1940, 1950, and I'm guessing from the look of it, the paint that was on there was from the original build. But the town kind of told us we really need to bring that up to par. Needed to put a new garage door on it and paint the thing and take care of some of the loose boards and stuff like that. So in the 2 weeks prior to getting to Hometime, my wife had her brother come and do the construction stuff, because I'm certainly not up to that task. He built the door and patched up some of the rot and rotten boards and things like that. But then from there, I started the painting job. Only got to do the front. It took so long. It was such a tedious thing. First, scraping the front. Like I said, I focused on the front, scraping the paint off as best I can, and then I came back with the power washer and knocked off a good deal more. Couldn't get it all, which I wasn't expecting, but anyway, I was amazed by how much it did get off there. So, and the last few days was me out there painting, at least putting one coat on the front of this building, going up and down ladders, and I can tell you when I'm starting to feel a little better now, but in the last few days, I don't think there's a joint on me that hurts. Every knuckle from doing the spray washer and painting, my knees from going up and down that ladder, everything was just sore. Not injured, but just sore, and it's finally starting to dissipate a little bit. So, like I said, it's not all fun and games. You out here, you got to remember the spouse is home, taking care of everything now, even though there's one less person to lean on. So, my opinion is do what you can when you're there. You know, try to knock off some things off the list, make life a little easier for them. All right, moving on to the fun stuff. I like to talk about the fun stuff. First thing, and thank you for the well wishes from some of you. I got several well wishes for both my anniversary, my 22nd anniversary with my wife Rexella, and my birthday. Both fell during this past home time. My birthday was August 22nd. Thank you for the well wishes from those who sent it. For my anniversary, we ended up going, I talked about it in the last video, we did go to Big Meadows. I had a really nice, relaxing time. Just up in the mountains, driving along Skyline Drive. You know, it's really scenic. It's a, I believe, state park. Yeah, state park. So it's just scenic, you know, windy road through the Appalachian Mountains, Shenandoah. Let's see. Enjoyed a few meals at different places up there. But other than that, didn't really do a whole lot. We just really kind of wanted to relax. So enjoyed ourselves. There was a little tavern there that we spent the evening in. Just having a few drinks and a little pizza. It was good. Yeah, there was a nice breakfast the following morning at the lodge, so we really had a good time. And my birthday was fun. We went to my parents' house. She, believe it or not, my mom made homemade country fried steak. So I got my usual on the road meal, but homemade this time. So we had eggs, and so actually, oddly enough, they had some corn on the cob, which I know isn't a breakfast food, but they had it, and it was really good corn on the cob. So we had country fried steak, scrambled eggs, corn on the cob, I think biscuits, I believe, can't remember, grits, I think, and bacon, I think was what it was. Excellent breakfast, and even better because my mom made it, so that was nice of her. To fix one of my favorite meals. Things that I got, one thing is a game changer for the camper, and I'm sure I'll show it here. I've been wanting to get an electric freezer or plug-in freezer to kind of expand the capacity that I have with just that stand-up freezer, a refrigerator. But it's always at those truck stops that I've priced them, and it's just way too much. You know, the size that I ended up getting, I've seen for upwards of 5, 6, 7. I think at the Iowa 80, I've seen this size for almost $800, and they were able to get it. It was a present, so I don't know exactly, but it was in like the $250 range. It's not the biggest one, but I didn't want that. On my TNT truck, my trainer had, I think, if not the biggest, it was up there. It was a pretty sizable thing. And it was kind of, as nice as it is to have that storage, you know, frozen food space, it's an obstacle that you have to step over every day of your life. This one I had hoped would fit in front of the passenger seat, but it's a little big for that, so you do have to step over it, but it's not enormous, so it's not quite so bad, but it's been wonderful. Every time I head out, my mom is really nice. She likes to cook for me, so she sends me out with a bunch of like homemade lasagna. She fixed me a thing, kind of, we call it goulash. It's basically elbow macaroni with like tomato paste sauce and trying to think what else, sausage, I think, and cheddar cheese. Really good. And also like a breakfast casserole. You know, it's the eggs with sausage and Bisquick and that kind of thing. And I really like that too. So I always eat well for the first couple weeks, and now I got about twice as many of those to take with me out on the road. So I've been enjoying that. Not only eating a little better, not that those were health foods, but it's certainly not fast food, and it saves a fortune. If not for any other reason, it saves a lot of money when you're not having to buy crap from the truck stops. So that was really great. I've told everybody, and if you're looking for a little gift idea for me for whatever holiday or things, Denny's gift cards is the way to go. And I got one. My wife gave me a Denny's gift card. Tried to use it yesterday. Like I just said, I've got all this food on the truck, but I had this gift card. I was like, well, I may as well use the gift card, you know. But for some reason, they couldn't figure out the machine and couldn't use the gift card, so I ended up paying for it. So I got that for a little later down the road, which I'll enjoy, assuming it's not the card that's messed up. Let's see, aside from that, you know, I've told y'all that every time I go home I try to give at least one solid day to each of my daughters and my wife. My wife and I did the mountain trip, but we also each had a day, and it ended up just by coincidence. Everybody wanted to go see the movie that was out that they wanted to see. So I ended up seeing 3 movies while I was on Hometime. Let's see, I went with my youngest daughter, and we saw, trying to remember what we saw. I'll come back to that. I just went blank. My wife and I saw The Sound of Freedom, and I highly recommend it. Not that it's a real enjoyable movie to watch, but man, it's eye-opening. So yeah, if you haven't seen that, go out and see it. It's, especially if you have kids. You know, I had a vague understanding of the, you know, horrible nature of, you know, sex trafficking, but this opened my eyes to exactly how bad it can be, and it was worse than I had imagined. So it's a very unsettling movie, but one that I think it's important for people to see. So I highly recommend that. My oldest daughter wanted to see the Oppenheimer film, which was really good too. We went and saw that. That's about the race for the atomic bomb. Follows basically Dr. Oppenheimer's life and path to coming up with the atomic bomb. And my youngest daughter and I, what did we see? She's gonna kill me for not remembering this. Oh yeah, I should remember. Indiana Jones. We're both Indiana Jones fans, and you know, this movie has taken a lot of hits, I think, you know, in the critic realm. I didn't see the big deal, you know, and I'm usually one on the right side of the sphere. I think most of the criticism, they you know, basically, if you know the Indiana Jones story, his son, which was played by Shia LaBeouf, in this, you know, they had to kind of write. And in his place was his goddaughter, was kind of taking the new role. And this goddaughter came back, and he hadn't seen her in years, and they went on adventures together. I'm not going to give anything away. But I had heard through, you know, the critics and on the internet that it was completely woke, and you know, and they went so woke that it destroyed the movie. I didn't get that. I thought it was not the best Indiana Jones. I would probably put it on the lower end. It's kind of there tied with Temple of Doom, but it was enjoyable. It didn't disappoint, really. It was a good Indiana Jones movie. I think the critics said that, you know, they kind of went out of their way to make her kind of have superhuman abilities, meaning, like, comparatively speaking with men, she shouldn't have been able to punch that hard, kick that hard, jump that far, that kind of thing. I didn't get it. It's an Indiana Jones movie. Indiana Jones did shit that the normal human being couldn't do either. And just as a side note, you know, he's, I don't know, 80 something in this, and they I think accurately portrayed, you know, a very in shape 80-year-old running around still having adventures. So I liked it. Again, in all the Indiana Jones movies, it's probably on the lower end of quality, I guess, but I still enjoyed it. We had a good time. And honestly, with movies, I could care less about the movie. I'm there for the popcorn and just relaxing in the dark, so it almost doesn't matter what we see. So I'm trying to think if there's anything else we did during this during Hometime of note. I think that's about it. We just, you know, as usual, I always say, you know, I gotta deal with quality over quantity now. You know, I'm not there every day for all the ins and outs of everyday life, but when I'm home, you know, we have some work to do, but we also try to fill that time with as much quality life experience as we can. So I'm gonna cut it there. As usual, it feels like 5 minutes to me, but it's getting close to 20. Hope everybody's doing well out there, and I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.